writing Where the Red Fern Grows graphic organizer. Now this is going to be the bulk of your essay. You're really going to get all your ideas down on paper, and then tomorrow you're just going to have to transfer them into pages and put them in essay format. So this is probably the hardest part. So that's why I wanted to talk to you about it a little bit yesterday. So you have 3 attachments on this assignment. You have a sample by me as the first one. Then you have the assignment here, and it just looks like this. So remember, it's the prompt for it. Make sure you read these little questions because they're going to help you to think of your thesis statement. Remember, the thesis statement is a sentence at the very beginning of your essay in the first paragraph, last sentence, telling your reader what you are arguing. So you might argue something like, should the legal age of adulthood be lowered or should it be raised? At what age do you think someone is grown? Is it fair that people can serve in the military and vote at 18 but not buy alcohol until they're 21? You can tell us whether you feel, when you think people should have the rights and responsibilities of legal adults. Do you think mandatory service of some kind is a good idea? Do you consider yourself mature or adult right now? Do you think there's a certain age at which people should be considered adults, or is this whole idea flawed? Do you think the age of majority should be based more on brain science than on politics? You really just need to pick one of these things, and hopefully you already have an idea based on the articles you've read to focus on. And so all the articles are listed here, and you might want to open those up into tabs. What I did when I did my graphic organizer that I'm getting ready to show you is that I had each of the tabs open that we read, and that way I could get to those articles more easily to look back. Another thing you could do is if you did your summaries and your opinion paragraphs in pages, you could open those up, and they could you could use that as a reference as well, or you could go back into Edmodo to find them. So let me show you the way I would start. If you open up, and it's the last attachment, the Common Core Graphic Organizer in PDF Expert, you're going to fill it out there and turn it in either as a screenshot or just turned in normally through Edmodo. And you probably don't actually want to go through this. When I did this, I didn't do it in order. Okay, I didn't start here with my hook. The hook was actually the last thing I did. Remember, a hook is a way to intrigue your reader and make them want to listen more. And so instead, I started with my thesis statement because you don't know what you're going to talk about unless you have a thesis statement. That's the focus of your essay. And so I'm going to go over here to my example. And my thesis statement was that people should be considered to be adults at the age of 21 in America in all legal situations. And so after we have our thesis statement, if you remember from when we wrote our Out of My Mind essay, we have our opinion, and then we have a reason, which is a claim in argument writing, and then we have examples or evidence, okay? So these are reasons, my claims are reasons why I think that the thesis statement is correct. So I did these next. So my first reason was, although it has been this way for a long time in many other places of the world, once you turn a certain age, you are considered an adult in situation. My next reason or claim was, people should be considered to be adults at an older age than they ever have before. And then my third one was, people should be considered to be adults at the age of 21. The next thing I did was my counterclaim. So a counterclaim is basically the argument someone would have with you about your claim. So why would they say that this is wrong? So my first claim was, in many other places of the world, once you turn a certain age, you are considered an adult in all situations. My counterclaim was, although it's been this way for a long time in America, it would be easier to make the ages that kids are considered adults to be the same across the whole country. So I thought of that one, and then I went back into the articles and I found evidence to support this idea because there had to be a reason based on what I read that I thought this. And so if you look, the parts in blue are actually things that I found in the articles, and what's in red is something I made up myself, just my own opinion. Now technically you only need to have 1, 2, 3 pieces of examples from the articles. Okay, now you don't have to quote them within it. If you want to, you can, but we're just going to do a bibliography at the end of the essay. But what would be good to do is say, according to Lawrence Steinberg, serving in the military before one is considered responsible enough to purchase alcohol is one example that seems not to make sense. Okay, so you can find all the articles, authors at the very top. Marilyn Ellis and Daniel E. Stolnick. Okay, so you might want to put that in here now in like a little parentheses. These are really your notes mainly. You don't have to have it this detailed, but remember, we've talked about this before. The more details you have in a graphic organizer, the easier it's going to be tomorrow when you go into your first draft. Okay, and so I went through, like I said, and I thought of my claim for each that's going to support this, and then I thought of what someone would say to disagree with it for each one, and then I found my evidence or my examples to support the reason. Okay, so thesis comes first, and then I have 3 reasons for why I think that, and then examples to prove it. Okay, you only need 3 textual evidence examples. The rest can be your opinion. A concluding statement down here is just wrapping it all up. So let's look at this one, my third claim. People should be considered to be adults at the age of 21. This my counterclaim, this may seem too old for people who have matured quickly, but it gives those people more time to receive education and training in their field. Significant changes in brain anatomy and activity are still taking place during the young adulthood, especially in the prefrontal regions that are important for planning ahead, anticipating future consequences of one's decisions, controlling impulses, and comparing risk and reward. Now, when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you are putting this into your own words. Do not copy and paste from the articles, because it's going to be harder to put it into your own words when you go into writing. Go ahead and put it into your own words now. And then the concluding statement was, based on all of these reasons, we see that the average American shows adult-like tendencies much later. After I filled out my body, then I went back here to the top. And so this is saying introduction of my claims, okay? And so basically, I just need to go back through and introduce what my claims are going to be to the reader. So let's look at my claims again. In many other places of the world, once you turn a certain age, you are considered an adult in all situations. People should be considered adults at an older age than they ever have been before. People should be considered to be adults at the age of 21. Okay, now let's go up here. Let's see how much they match. This is confusing and seems arbitrary. In many places of the world, once you turn a certain age, you are considered an adult in all situations. See how this is pretty much the same as this? In America, more and more people are reaching adult milestones at older ages. Look down here. People should be considered as adults at an older age than they have ever been before. See, it mirrors it. This shows that the age in which people are considered to be treated as adults should be older than the starting age of 15. My claim down here was people should be considered to be adults at the age of 21. So this all prefaces or previews what my claims are going to be for the reader. Next, I went up and I made my hook. A hook is the way to engage the reader. So good ways to use hooks or to make a hook is to ask questions, to use a quote, or to tell a story. Why is it illegal for an American to fight in face-to-face combat before it is legal for him or her to drink a beer? Drive a car at 16 but not rent one until 25? In America, people are considered to be adults at different ages in different situations. Okay? And then lastly, you're going to go down here to the bottom and you're going to restate your thesis, your overall argument. Then you're going to summarize your claims. So this one down here, the first one, should be like this last one. Just reword it. This second one should be like this one and rewording it. And then at the end, you just want to give a really strong closing statement, a call to action. What do you want to see happen? So I wrote, consider all the factors and change the age for adulthood. Okay? Now, I didn't write in concluding statements here, but I should have. So you should have that filled out. The only thing you don't need to fill out today is the transitional phrase or clause. I'm going to help you with that tomorrow. I'm going to have a list for you to look at. You don't need to fill that out right now. So please rewatch the video if you need to. Start it and then pause as you do one step and then do the next one, etc. Let me know if you have questions.